We saved an entire segment here at Football 4 to simply address what I consider to be one of the most incredible and most dramatic individual in-season turnarounds in not just NFL, but professional sports history. Bryce Young looked as good as he's ever looked on Sunday. And maybe it's just in the rearview mirror far enough away that I don't remember it. I think that even includes Alabama. And he had some 400-yard passing games, he won the Heisman. So it's not like saying he wasn't good at Alabama. I'm just saying he looked that good, that confident, that impressive on Sunday. The thing that is most different, I believe, is just that. It's his confidence. I challenge you to go back and watch. It was the second game of the year, third down. He scrambles to his left, buys time, flips his hips, sets up. It's a third down on the fringe of field goal range, and it's as if you disconnected the controller. He just, takes the sack out of field goal range. Could have just thrown it away. Probably could have found somebody downfield. Didn't. And the thing right there at that moment, it was like his confidence is gone. Now, cut to Sunday. He's throwing a touchdown. I believe it was Tommy Tremble over the middle. And before the ball is even caught, which, let's be real, Bryce Young's had a lot of passes dropped this year. So even if he's like, that ball's on target and the guy's open, the instinct would say, I should watch to make sure he solidifies it. But he has confidence in himself throwing a catchable ball, confidence in Tommy Tremble, confidence in no flags, turns around, doesn't even have to watch, hands in the air, touchdown. It's whatever you want to describe it. Lamar Jackson-like, Steph Curry-like, whatever. It's the swaggiest we've seen him. Going the distance between those 2 points, 1,000 miles. That is the thing that is most different about this offseason based on Sunday. And Dennis, I have to admit, I missed this, right? On, what was it? Thursday. It was Thursday. We were talking about what was actually there to gain or lose and what could you still do on Sunday. And we both kind of came up with, and correct me if I'm wrong here, more reps, right? You can try different things. You don't get to simulate a game in any kind of real way until at least next year's preseason.
Try some different stuff. Do some different things.
I didn't realize that I think actually the thing that they gained most on Sunday is how Bryce Young will be approached this offseason. Bryce Young now, after Sunday, and I do think it's a little bit, maybe even a lot of bit different just based on Sunday, he goes into the offseason as the guy. Dave Canales, for the first time, showed real, like, above what is expected confidence in Bryce Young after the game, right? The whole, is he the quarterback? Yes, he's our starting quarterback. Said it with his chest. Said it with some emphasis. Bryce has no one questioning his status as the 2025 starter for the Panthers. All offseason, he will not, because right there, the only way to lose some of this confidence would be to do something bad in a game, and there's no games until next fall. The team, because here's what would happen. Even if Dave Canales was quietly super confident in Bryce Young, and even if Dan Morgan still thought he was the guy, and even if David Tepper wasn't forcing them to find replacements, even if all that was happening, if they didn't bring in legit competition this offseason, I'm talking about if the offseason started a month ago, if they didn't bring in legit starting quarterback competition and Bryce didn't play well last year, or next year I should say, not last year, next year, you'd look foolish. Like, yeah, you didn't think you needed an insurance policy in case that guy didn't play well? Now the team will not look stupid if they don't bring in competition. Matter of fact, they can bring in a veteran, but that veteran will know they're coming in as a backup. You could keep Andy Dalton around if you really love him that much. You could bring in a player like that. But here's the big flip. Right? Actually, let's first Bryce Young spoke to the media today, and I want to emphasize this as well. The support of his teammates is growing with each swaggy play he makes. Here's Bryce Young on the support of the rest of the Panthers.
That means a lot. Again, this is a team sport. We all play for each other, and it's the same way for me. Just being able to go in and build as we are with the foundation of guys we have here with this team. I've been so grateful to be a part of this team. I'm the same way. I have all the confidence in the world in them, all the trust in them, and just knowing that we're in this together. We all are able to trust each other, lean on each other, and play for each other. It's a great thing about being here.
Here's the thing about confidence. And Dennis, as a former college coach, I would like to see it from that angle. I've never been a coach outside of very weird instances. Here's the thing that I think is inexplainable about confidence. The more confidence you have in yourself, the more confidence others have in you.
Oh, easily.
Right? It's some weird chemistry thing where if you don't believe in yourself, suddenly everyone else is like, I sense that. You can do the same, you can make the same throw, you can do the same things, but if in your brain you're questioning yourself, everybody else is going to question you. Which Bryce this week, compared to earlier in the season, I think the players trusted him more. I think Dave Canales trusted him more. That was the best play calling game I've seen from Dave Canales, and on top of that, it was a bit of a flex. Right? I mentioned this earlier, but Brady Christensen was in a particular formation on that touchdown pass, the one we talked about, the hands up, the turning around before it's caught touchdown pass. Brady Christensen, due to a unique formation, was at his kind of right tackle spot, but he was also an eligible receiver. This guy ran like a 3-yard cross the field under route. He's the right tackle. That is, and I say this with all glowing appreciation for what Ben Johnson at Detroit is. That is Ben Johnson in Detroit level swag of play calling from Dave Canales. And you don't do that if your entire goal is to hide an unconfident player, which I do think was the entire goal at points in time this season. All right, we need to get Bryce an open catch, and if it's not open, we need to get him a very easy get-out-of-jail-free throwaway. We need to get him on the move, or if they blitz, we need to give him a blinking neon sign saying, here's what you do. They were trying to make the game easier. I don't know what the read was on the play, but when your check down is your right tackle, your head coach is giving you a lot of leash to figure it out. Even if he was just a complete decoy, you're setting something up in the future, so teams have to consider, do we have to guard the right tackle? That's just confidence breeding confidence. So that is something that I failed to recognize. I failed to recognize going into the game on Sunday that if Bryce Young put up 5 touchdowns for the first time since any quarterback has done that for Carolina since Cam Newton's MVP year, that it would give him not just confidence in himself, but everybody else feeling more confident in him going into the offseason, which puts him at the position of leadership. And I don't care what level of football you're playing, you need your quarterback to lead, and the best time to build all of that is in the offseason. It's why I am so high on naming your starter. It's why I'm so high on as soon as you know who your starter is, right? As soon as you know who your starter is, making that decision and making it public rather than waiting and saying, well, we're going to do it. Or I complained a lot about UNC this year, waiting until the opening game to make that kind of announcement. Because I'm going, no, your quarterback needs to know and everybody else needs to know that there is absolutely no doubt who your guy is. This offseason, there's absolutely no doubt who their guy is. Something as simple as in the NFL, I don't know when it became like you have to do it. If you're a starting quarterback, you have to pick a week. You have to pick a location. You have to host all of the receivers and pass catchers, right? Usually you bring out the center so they can just snap it to you. It's usually some place warm. You work out in the morning. You maybe get a lift in the afternoon. You go out to dinner. You catch a sporting event, right? You do it. It's like a team building activity as much as anything else. But quarterback competitions are always funny. All right, well, who's going to host? All right, well, who's going to be the guy that picks up the check? All right, well, who's going to be the guy that does this? Who's going to be the guy that chooses the week? Bryce Young is that guy for the Panthers. And that's important. And now he gets to build off of this past season. This will be the last clip we have for you in this segment. Bryce Young earlier today on building off of this season.
Just being able to build, us having this foundation, obviously, compared to last year, when you're going in and knowing you're restarting and things are different, it's a different approach, and this year knowing, you know who's, you know what you're working towards, I have a lot better idea what you have, you never know obviously what the offseason holds and all that, but the foundation is there. So being able to carry that out is huge, and just being able to continue to build, us as a team having flashes, knowing what we're capable of, and now just the focus instead of finding it, being on making it consistent, making it the standard. I think it's a lot better place to be.
At some point this week, we'll do our way too early expectations for next year. 5 wins this year. Building off of that is getting pretty darn close to the top of an NFC South. Partially because the top of the NFC South, it's not exactly a mountain. It's more of a hill or a mound of some kind.
Molehill.
It's not the
but it's also,
summit.
You look at all the close losses that they had, and the stretch of close losses that they had against Kansas City, against Philadelphia, and some other games. If you just had an average defense that could hold at least a fart, maybe you actually win a couple of those games. Before you know it, hey, 5-12 turns into 7-8 wins.
I hear what you're saying. It is dangerous to play that game because if for example, if you kept Brian Burns, your defense is better. But then you might not have the offensive line that you had. You might not.
True.
Like it's hard. It's part of why building is so important, right? If you solve the offense this year, what you have to be able to do, and by the way, you didn't solve it, but if you improved the offense a bunch this year, you have to find a way to improve the defense a bunch next year without having to take away from the gains you made on offense. It's that slow build that I've been talking about, right? I think next year is the year you want to compete for a division. The following year, you want to start getting loftier than that, but it has to be that slow build.